Farm Radio, 106.2 FM.
Good afternoon and welcome to Keep Women Talking, a show from Peterborough Women's Aid. My name is Mandy and I am joined by my co-host Sue. Hello, Sue.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. A bit warm.
Yes.
But apart from that, fine.
It's cooler today than what it has been.
It is cool. Oh, it was so hot at the weekend, wasn't it?
It was uncomfortably warm. But then we always complain, don't we, no
we
matter
moan
what?
if it rains and we moan if it's sunny. So, yeah, we mustn't complain, really. So, today's show, we are going to be talking about economic abuse. We have touched on this before, but this is a real, I suppose, critical part of an abusive relationship in terms of it's very likely if you're in an abusive relationship you will be experiencing economic abuse. So we're going to go into loads of detail.
I think it can have long-term effects as well.
Absolutely. So we're going to go into loads of detail about that today. Our question of the week is, what is the one thing you think everyone should know about domestic abuse? Sue, what do you think?
I think it's just really important that everyone's made aware of it and what it looks like, and that it's not just the physical element. I think a lot of people still have this perception that it's when a partner hits you and beats you up, and you know, that physical side. I think there's so many other elements of it. Yeah. And I think it's about, you know, making sure that everyone's aware of those different elements, and that it's not always, you don't always get everything. You might just have one element of abuse.
Yeah. Okay, cool. For me, I think the one thing that everyone should know about domestic abuse is, and I hear this so many times, and I'm sure you too, Sue, do as well, Sue, why does she choose to stay?
Yes. Why don't you just leave?
Yes. And when I'm in meetings with professionals, sometimes I want to throw my laptop at them when they say that.
Please don't.
So we know that victims of abuse do not choose to stay in an abusive relationship. They are controlled and they are coerced, and the majority of the time why they do not leave is because they have no choice. And we know that the rate of homicide goes up by 70% if a victim leaves a relationship. So just to be completely clear, victims do not choose to stay in an abusive relationship. So if you want to get involved in this conversation, we're asking you one thing you think everyone should know about domestic abuse. You can call us on 01733 602 133. Text us on 074 119 1062, or you can comment live on our Facebook, Twitch, X and YouTube. Okay, so
fill us in on what's been happening, Mandy.
So the last 2 weeks have been super duper busy for Peterborough Women's Aid. We've been doing lots and lots of work in the community.
It's been that time of year, isn't it, where all these events suddenly start popping up, which is amazing for us because it all helps our fundraising.
Yes. So not this weekend, just gone. Last weekend we had a netball fundraiser, and there was a netball tournament, and they raised, I think, nearly £500 for us. Wow. Which was amazing.
Really
so we
good.
went there for the day and we did like a tombola. So we're really, really thankful for the people that run the netball tournament. This weekend we had the most amazing event ever, didn't we?
And this is an event that, this is the third year of it being run, isn't it?
Yes. So it is a charity football match in aid of us. So we've got three amazing people that run this event and organise it for us. Georgina, Hannah and Reese. Am I right, Reese?
Yeah.
And
and all their friends and family as well.
Yeah.
Because events are never easy to organise. We know how much time and effort it takes to sort of put these things together.
So they organise this amazing event. They get two football teams, two female players. We had some Peterborough United from the women's team playing. We had bouncy castles, barbecue. We did a tombola, there was a raffle, there were loads of like crafty stalls and everything. And it was just...
And cakes.
And cakes, a lot of cakes.
Which all looked amazing.
Yeah, and it was just a fantastic day out for the family. We don't know how much we've raised yet.
Still adding.
We're still adding it all up, and we will probably know by the end of the week. So we'll put that on socials. But just a massive thank you to everyone that was involved in that day. I had some texts from the players that evening saying that they just absolutely loved being part of it. So we just appreciate, people in our community that are going that extra mile to raise money for our charity. It's just absolutely amazing.
And it's such a great event. It's really family friendly, isn't it? And it was just lovely.
Yeah. We've done some other things. So I spoke at the Peterborough Domestic Abuse Conference on Friday, and I spoke about how successful our group is, our Women Warriors group, which we run in Peterborough, 32 to 34 Cromwell Road every Tuesday and Friday, starts at 10:30 a.m. And that group is about peer support. We do arts and crafts.
Well-being, building self-confidence, about having a positive mindset. Yeah. Sometimes they throw in a bit of mindfulness or meditation.
And just about how popular that group is and how it's really served a need for women in the Peterborough community. We've done a few other things. So we've been to Borough, I can never say this. Boroughbury Medical Centre, where they are running, I think once a month, like a health and wellbeing service for women. So we went there to talk about the work that we do and just engage with women in the community, because that's super important to us. And then we have 2 other big charity events coming up, which we need you, our 2,000 listeners on YouTube, to get involved with. So we have the Great Eastern Run, and we really want some runners. So we have, if you can raise £150, we will pay for your place in the half marathon. If you can raise £75, we will pay for your place in the 5k fun run. So if you have children and you want to do a little bit of family fitness, please
and you don't
get
have
involved.
To run the fun run. Lots of people walk it.
Yeah.
It's just a really lovely event. It's really enjoyable. Gets you outside. Bit of fitness. Exactly.
And £75 per person to raise is like nothing, is it?
Yeah.
And then we pay your entrance fee, and you get a PWA t-shirt. You get lots of support on the day, face painting, food, everything. And the GER is on the 14th of October this year. So you've got loads of time to train, raise some money. Please go on our website and fill in the contact us page, and come and run with us and with me.
Well, with you, Mandy. Yes, not us.
No, not us. Not me and Sue. Just me. And then the other big fundraiser of the year is our charity ball. So tickets are on sale November the 1st at the Holiday Inn. Tickets are £55, which is a bargain, because you get a 2-course meal, entertainment, there's auction. It's just a really, really fun event. And again, one of our biggest fundraisers. So if you go on our website or Facebook, you can book your tickets through that. And if you are a local business listening, and I know there are quite a few that sponsor Salam FM, we are looking for sponsorship for our ball. And our sponsorship starts from as little as £500.
Yeah, please get in touch.
Right, I feel like I've been like a marketing person there, just going through asking people to give us money.
But it's these funds that help keep us going and help us to provide the extra things to the women and children that we support. And it is vital to be able to enable us to keep our support services going.
Yeah, and people often say, okay, if we fundraise for you, what's it going to go on? Is it going to go on like the CEO's salary or all of this stuff? But it actually, with Peterborough Women's Aid, it doesn't.
Yeah.
The donations we get in goes to frontline services, so things that we can't get funding for. Examples are a hotel room for a woman that needs to escape at 5 o'clock on a Friday night and she's got literally nowhere else to go. Things like essential food.
Yeah, nappies.
Yeah.
We've bought pushchairs in the past when people have had to flee with literally what they're wearing and their baby's got nothing to get around in.
Kids' clothing, just all the essential things. When people leave a relationship, they don't have time to bring with them, or they're unable because of the risk. So all of the donations that we get in go to support victims of abuse and towards our frontline services. So, question of the week. One thing you think everyone should know about domestic abuse. Sue has said that it's multifaceted, which is a good word for me on a Monday.
Very good word.
Which means there's lots of stuff to it, I think.
Yes. Not just one element or the physical element, which sort of comes from historical knowledge, I suppose, that there are very many different parts of abuse.
And I think people think about domestic abuse as the woman with the black eye, don't they? And that's just not what it is it? There's so many different types of abuse. And my one thing is that I think, well, basically that I've had enough of people saying, why does she choose to stay? Why doesn't she leave? So that is... Sorry, listeners, my phone just rang because it's so bad I didn't put it on silent. My one thing is that people often ask us, why doesn't she just leave? Why does she choose to stay?
Yeah. Why didn't she leave sooner?
Yeah. And we know that, the risk is massive, and all of the victims we work with are absolutely scared to leave and coerced and controlled into staying in that abusive relationship. So today we are talking about economic abuse, and we have touched on this a little bit before, but it's a really common type of abuse, Sue. So tell us a little bit more about it.
It is. It's huge. And I think some of the statistics that we've got is that 1 in 5 women in the UK has experienced economic abuse by a current or former partner in the last 12 months. And that's the equivalent to 5.5 million people.
Wow.
Yeah. It sort of highlights how common it is, doesn't it? And I think we just need to clarify, Mandy, what the difference is between economic abuse and financial abuse.
We do, because I don't really know the answer to that.
So the financial abuse is purely about controlling the finances within the household, where economic abuse also incorporates other resources such as housing, such as food. So stopping people from having money to buy food to eat, preventing them from paying for transport, preventing them from getting a job. That's all economic abuse.
So finances, you're looking really at like money.
Yes.
Like
the actual physical money.
The day-to-day money that comes in and out through wages, benefits or whatever. Economic abuse is the bigger picture about how it would affect you in everything that you do.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so like I say, 1 in 5 women in the UK have experienced economic abuse. And they say that about every 20 minutes, a victim of economic abuse reports this to the police. And that actually we know that the statistics for women who are subjected to domestic abuse is 1 in 4 women, but it's 95% of those women are also subjected to economic abuse.
So we're saying if you're experiencing domestic abuse, economic abuse is more than likely to be a factor.
It's highly likely,
in that,
yes, to be a part of that. So, for example, to put it into more context, women may have been stopped from having food and eating food. They might be stopped from buying shampoo, from buying sanitary products, and even medication. Obviously, we know that if you get a prescription, a lot of people have to pay for that. So even that medication can be stopped, or it can be very hit and miss. So then that has a direct impact on your health. People may have access to their bank account restricted. So I know we've had women in the past where they've opened bank accounts and then their partner has taken their bank card. So they may be going out to work or maybe receiving benefits, but they actually don't have any access to that money because their partner has taken their credit card or their bank card and may have set up the internet banking and set up it on their email address with their password. So again, that woman may have no access to any actual physical money.
And I suppose that's a big change, isn't it? From when, when I started working in this sector, we didn't have internet banking. So you physically, if you had a savings account, you literally had to go into the branch and get,
Yes,
you were there physically and you got whatever money you wanted out. But now, like, everything is online when it comes to banking, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you are in an abusive relationship, it's very easy for the perpetrator, like you say, to set up online banking, especially if you've got a joint account.
Yes.
That he can just access the money or literally take the money.
Or just take the money away. Or alternatively, it's a way of watching what you're spending. Yeah. If they allow you to keep your bank card, it then enables them to see exactly where you're going and what you're spending money from, and having that control over you. Mm-hmm. And perhaps saying, oh, well, what were you doing in, I don't know, Boots that day? Yeah. What did you buy? And they can use that against you as well.
And I suppose that also, having that access to the bank account, that leads back to what I was talking about earlier about women finding it really, really hard to leave, because, and why women would leave with absolutely nothing. Because if someone is tracking your finances, if you're planning to leave, you might think, okay, well, I'm gonna go and buy some bits from the shop, or I'm gonna get some new stuff for the kids that I can take with me, so he doesn't realise that I've taken clothes. But actually, if he's tracking your finances, it's going to be really, really difficult for you to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed. One of the other ways that we see economic abuse is that a perpetrator will take out credit in the other person's name. So 1 in 13 women have had credit taken out in their name without their consent, and then their credit rating can be deliberately, basically decimated. So, they have this credit taken out. It might be a credit card, it might be a loan, it could be a mortgage. And then your perpetrator doesn't pay those bills. So then you get into trouble. Mm-hmm. You then possibly end up with bailiffs knocking on your door. Your credit rating is gone. So then, well, you can't rent anywhere. You certainly can't buy anywhere. Mm-hmm. You can't get a credit card. You can't get another loan to help you on your way. So again, like you said, this economic abuse can have a massive impact, not just in that moment, but long term as well.
We've seen this quite a lot. I know we're going to go into more detail about kind of credit abuse or whatever, but we do see this quite a lot, don't we, when we work with our clients. For example, she will say, oh yeah, the house is in joint names, but actually it's not.
Yeah.
So she has no right to it. The mortgage, he's got her to sign a piece of paper not knowing what she's signing, and the mortgage is actually solely in his name.
Yeah.
Or the other way round, she has signed for credit cards, not knowing what she's doing, and especially a lot
That's it. Very often people, when you're in what you believe to be a trusting relationship at that time, someone, your partner says to you, oh, can you just sign this form for me? It's just for
whatever.
I don't know, whatever. And you don't actually, in that moment, because they will have picked a moment where you're rushed and in a hurry to get somewhere, and you don't know what you're signing. And you could have signed a loan agreement, a credit card agreement, even a mortgage agreement.
Yep. And just to add to all of this, if English isn't your first language and you're unable to read the documents that are being presented, and we're finding a lot of this at the moment, aren't we?
Yes.
With the ladies we work with, that they don't know what they're signing because they can't read it, but they're coerced into signing it anyway through fear of what the perpetrator is going to do.
That's it, exactly. The threats and the coercion and the intimidation that may come with that far outweighs the worry of being in debt. Indeed. And I think there is a national helpline that supports people who are being economically abused. And they're saying that on average, callers who are getting in touch with them have debts over £27,000. That's a lot of money to be in debt with. Yeah. Absolutely. So they're saying 60% of the people that they support have an average debt over £27,000.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lot of money, isn't it, to be in debt when you're possibly hoping to flee and start your life again.
And that's the thing, isn't it? So you want to leave this abusive relationship. You've got, 30 grand's worth of debt in your name. How are you going to leave that?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're worried that you need to pay that off because you won't be able to get a job, or you won't be able to, like you say, rent a property or get anything, even buy a car on credit.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? You're kind of stuck, aren't you?
Yeah.
30 grand's worth of debt. The only way that's ever possibly going to get paid off is if you stay with him. And then you've got all the concern if you've got children. How am I going to pay this off if I'm on my own? All of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's it. It is a huge thing. And I think we need to say that there is a national helpline, a financial support line for victims of domestic abuse. I will find the details shortly. But also, if you directly contact your bank, for example, they have specialist workers who are specially trained to work with their clients who have been victims of domestic abuse and have been financially abused. And they will support you and do everything that they can and give recommendations of the actions that you can take.
So that's a big change, isn't it? Because years ago, this wasn't a thing. Banks didn't have, it comes under the vulnerable persons unit at a bank, and they didn't have any specialist workers. But what happened was there's an amazing charity called Surviving Economic Abuse, and they do what they say on the tin, that their specialism is economic abuse, and one of their focuses was to engage with banks and get banks to understand when victims are being economically abused, and to get banks to support those victims. So NatWest is amazing, HSBC is amazing.
And I think it's TSB that have set up a special scheme, haven't they, that if they have account holders who are victims of domestic abuse, they have a fund to actually help through those circumstances.
Yeah. So I think the message is kind of if you are really concerned about contacting your bank, there is somebody there at the bank that can help you. And what we have done, and we do quite regularly, is that our clients we will support our clients in making that phone call, because it can be really nerve-wracking and you can be really anxious about it. And so one of our support workers will kind of be with you on the phone, talk you through what to say, or take that phone call for you, to make sure you're explaining yourself properly and make sure you understand what the bank is saying back to you. So that's something that we can support clients with if they want help making that phone call.
That's it. And like I said, the financial support line for victims of domestic abuse, that's run in partnership with the website that Mandy mentioned, the Surviving Economic Abuse, and Money Advice Plus. So you will be able to find the contact details on those websites.
Perfect. So if anything we're saying is hitting, you're thinking, am I being economically abused, or I need support? I mean, we're generally talking about domestic abuse. Please do reach out and call us on 01733 894 964, which is our advice line at Peterborough Women's Aid, or you can contact us through our website, which is www.peterboroughwomensaid.co.uk.
And just to add, Mandy, some further interesting statistics. Black, Asian and other women from ethnic minority backgrounds are nearly twice as likely to experience economic abuse than white women. So on average, 32% report experiencing economic abuse for those ethnic minority backgrounds, compared to 18% of white women.
I would like to know more about that stat, wouldn't you? I'd like to know, is it strictly down to language barriers that maybe Black, Asian and other women are not clear about what they're signing? They don't understand what they're signing.
Yeah. And I wonder if there's a cultural element in there as well. And that, because the next fact I've got is that Asian respondents are actually the group least likely to identify themselves of having experienced economic abuse. However, 50% of those women had experienced economic abuse behaviours, but they couldn't recognise that and couldn't identify it themselves.
That's interesting, isn't it? And I think it would be really valuable for us to look more into that through the Dahlia Project. And the Dahlia Project is our project that solely supports South Asian women in Peterborough, as to why maybe victims from the South Asian community aren't recognising economic abuse. And is it a cultural thing? Who knows? And
I think that's something for us to take away,
that's
Mandy.
Something for us to take away, because we are not experts in that field. But it would be really interesting, and maybe some work needs to be done around that. Right, we are going to take a quick ad break, and then we will be back talking more about the impact of economic abuse.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Need a taxi that won't break the bank? Amar Cabs offers safe local rides at affordable prices, starting at £3.99. Get to Heathrow for £120 and London Stansted or London Luton for just £88. Private school and executive business class drop-offs are also available. Booking is easy. Go to www.amarcabs.com and download our app on Android or iOS, or call 01733 555 888. Wherever you're headed, Amar Cabs is just a tap away with reliable, affordable rides starting at just £3.99.
Fancy the true taste of Middle Eastern Kurdish food? Asia Restaurant gives you the unique fusion of flavours from Turkey, Iraq, Syria and Iran. Eat in at 5 Fitzwilliam Street, Peterborough, PE1 2RU. Or order through Just Eat, Uber Eats, or order through our website, asiarestaurant.co.uk. Call us on 01733 562 530. Asia Restaurant, the true taste of the Middle East.
Could you spare a few hours each month to provide support to people who are going through tough times? If so, Peterborough Samaritans are looking for volunteers who are empathetic and open-minded, and we'd love to hear from you. We run regular information sessions where you can find out more about what it means to volunteer for Samaritans. If you are at least 18 years of age and would like to know more, please email volunteer@peterboroughsamaritans.co.uk.
Mirage Wedding and Catering Services have everything to make your special day, party or celebration one to remember for all the right reasons. As well as quality catering, freshly made with seasonal produce, Mirage supplies stages, lighting and house lights, decor and marquees, Chivari chairs and table hire, attentive staff, supercars and so much more. Call 07860 125 092 or visit mirageweddingsuk.com. Also across all social media. Mirage, making every wedding better.
Moving house? Feeling overwhelmed? Boxes everywhere? Ivat Self Storage can help. Our secure, clean and modern facility, Peterborough's preferred choice, gives you the extra space you need with 24/7 security and easy access. So instead of tripping over boxes, store them with us and breathe easy. Visit Ivat, spelt IVATT, selfstorage.co.uk today. Because moving is hard enough.
It's healthy, nutritional and halal. It's The Lads, your first choice for burgers, pittas, wraps and flame-grilled lamb chops and peri-peri chicken. Now with 5 fantastic new flavours, plus sides, grilled salads and milkshakes too. Open daily from 11:30 until 11 p.m. Call in at 15 Cowgate in Peterborough. Order for collection online at thelads.co.uk or by calling Peterborough 562287 or place your Lads delivery order at ubereats.co.uk.
You're listening to Peterborough's community radio, Salam Radio. Salam Radio. 106.2 FM.
Good afternoon. You are listening to Keep Women Talking, a show from Peterborough Women's Aid. My name's Mandy. I am your host, and my co-host is Sue. Hello again, Sue.
Good afternoon.
Question of the week. One thing you think everyone should know about domestic abuse. Sue, summarise what your answer was.
So my answer was basically that there are multiple different types of abuse. It's not just the physical side of things.
And my answer was, can people please saying, why doesn't she leave? Or why does she choose to stay?
Yeah.
Because I don't like that. What do you think? One thing you think everyone should know about domestic abuse. You can call us on 01733 602 133. You can text us on 074 triple? That's not even a word. Do it again. Text on 074 I can't do it now. 119 1062, or you can comment on Facebook, YouTube, X and Twitch. We've got a lovely new screen here at Salam, to the point of I can tell you about any traffic issues.
Lovely.
A14 westbound,
and the weather.
one lane is closed. I feel very official.
Not going anywhere, Mandy. We're okay.
Oh, we're fine. Okay, so we are talking about the impact of economic abuse.
We are. And before we mentioned it's a widespread issue within victims of domestic abuse. 95% of women who've experienced domestic abuse have experienced economic abuse alongside it. So if you are concerned about anything that we're talking about, please call our helpline.
01733 894 964.
So we're going to move on to talk about very briefly some of the impacts that victims may experience. So like we say, 95% of cases of domestic abuse involve some element of economic abuse. And this type of abuse creates instability. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we know money makes the world go round, as they say. And by limiting the amount of money one person has, it limits their freedom. Mm-hmm. It stops them from going to the shop and buying clothes that they may need, going to the shop and buying food which they may need, buying clothing for their children, buying toiletries and sanitary products which they may need, as well as the bigger picture of if they haven't got access to money or debt is being formed within their name, the long-term impacts are quite considerable. Mm-hmm. If they've racked up thousands and thousands of pounds worth of debt, that can then have an impact on someone's credit rating, on their capability of renting a new home or buying a new home. And it is one of the things that makes it really, really difficult to leave an abuser and access safely. So someone can very often become trapped because they've got nowhere to go. They don't, they feel, along with that isolation, the emotional abuse they may have been experiencing, the coercion they may have been experiencing, they literally do not have a penny to their name to be able to get a bus, to be able to have somewhere safe to stay that night, to be able to walk away with, things for their children and themselves. So it really does support the physical safety of themselves as well. And it can be really, really challenging to build your life once you've been in this situation. We've had experience of women who have literally left with nothing. We've had women that have walked into our refuge with the clothes on their back and their children's back, and that's it. Yeah. But it is possible. I want to make it clear that it is possible to start again from scratch. And services like ours are there to support you. And like we mentioned earlier, the banks now have specialist domestic abuse or vulnerable people workers who can help you through the financial side of things. In terms of children, as I just mentioned them, we've got some statistics that state that just under half of victims of domestic abuse who have children said they didn't have enough money to pay for essentials for their children. So that might be clothing, that might be nappies, that might even be baby milk. And I think this is something that we see quite regularly, isn't it, Mandy?
It is, and we know that there is no such thing as a child not, I've said this the wrong way, but all children who are in a household where there is domestic abuse are victims of abuse, aren't they?
Yes.
And so we're saying here that the abuse has therefore meant that a child cannot, their basic needs cannot be met.
Yeah, and even long term, perpetrators may withhold child maintenance. So again, that lady is short of money that child needs to provide those basic essentials.
So how do you recognise economic abuse? What kind of things might a perpetrator do?
Yeah, so like we say, it can take many different forms. So they might, in the bigger picture, prevent you from attending college, for example. If you want to get into work, you perhaps haven't got the qualifications that you need, and you think, oh, okay, I'll do a course at college, build up my CV to help you get employment. So they may prevent you from taking part in that college course, or prevent you from even applying for jobs.
And I know we've worked with clients where the perpetrator has been so manipulative. He's been like, oh yeah, I think that's amazing, enroll in the college course, I'll really, really support you. But how are you going to get there?
Yeah. Or they've done that, and then actually, rather than supporting you and helping you find the time to complete that course, they've given you X, Y, and Z to do, so that you just don't physically have the time.
Yeah. So it looks very good on the surface, and we often find this with perpetrators. Someone that's, looking from the outwards inwards would think, oh, look at him. Oh, he's supported her to go to college. But actually, when it comes down to it, like you say, she might possibly have no means of getting there, or he gives her loads of other stuff to do, which means that she can't actually do her course.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you're also in employment, you've got a job, they may limit the number of hours that you actually work, or they could sabotage your work as well. For example, oh, well, Johnny's ill today. Well, I can't possibly look after him. You'll just have to not to go into work. Yeah. Even though that other perpetrator may not be having a job that day, they may not be working that day, but they're busy doing something else. Yeah. So they can limit the number of hours that you actually work.
Making you feel really bad that you're not going to be able to do the school runs. That's something we've had, isn't it? Well, you can't work. Who's going to pick the kids up from school? They shouldn't be in kids club or whatever. They should be at home with their mum. Yeah. When we know that actually there's loads of full-time working mums out there who are fantastic mothers.
That's it, exactly.
But it goes back to this manipulation and blackmail.
Yes, yeah. So again, even if you are working, they might take your pay, which we've talked about already, not allow you access to your bank account. They might refuse to let you claim benefits, or claim benefits in your name, but they do it. Does that make sense?
Well, we have this quite a lot, don't we, where child benefit,
yes,
the perpetrator has claimed the child benefit and maybe the victim doesn't know about it. Or we have the whole universal credit thing where it's a joint claim and he just takes all the money.
Yeah. He's the one who has sole access to it.
Because it can be really difficult for people, especially with universal credit, because you have to go on the portal and you have to know the code and so on, don't you? And if that one person has all the access to this information, you don't even know how to get on
that's it. And you might miss appointments, and then there's sanctions that are put in place. So we can then move on to looking at how perpetrators may restrict how you actually use your money. So they might control when and how your money is spent. So I think we've spoken before, haven't we, about the lady that's sent to the supermarket with a specific list and the cost of those items, and is expected to spend that money to the penny. like we said, they may dictate what you can and can't buy, whether that's clothing, whether that's groceries, whether that's things for your children. They might ask you like for receipts for absolutely everything. And again, it may be under the guise of, oh, we need to be careful, we need to watch what we're spending. I want to make sure that we've got enough money for a holiday later in the year. But if, you've lost a receipt or you weren't given a receipt, these things happen.
It's not the end of the world,
No.
is it? In a healthy, non-abusive relationship, it's very rare for someone to check a receipt, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, in my house, when I've been to Primark and I said, look, I only spent £5, Simon's like, no, you didn't, did you? No, I didn't.
So they might make you keep a spending diary or make you justify everything that you buy.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I went out and I bought a new dress because we've got this wedding on the weekend. Well, did you really need a new dress? Why did you need a new dress?
Yeah.
You've got a wardrobe and there's dresses in there. You could have worn one of those. They might control things such as a mobile phone or a car. So you might have a mobile phone that you can only use at certain points in the day or not at all.
And this one is a complete nightmare, isn't it? Because if you've got the perpetrator supplying the mobile phone and having access to the account and the bills, this is where economic abuse just links into all the other types of abuse, isn't it? Because you're then looking at like stalking and harassment, because he can go through the bill and see where you've been,
that's it, see who you're contacting.
So yeah, that's a major one, isn't it? Having control over someone's mobile phone.
I know we've had women who have come to Refuge who were referred into our service, and they've obviously telephoned us. And then a few days later, we've had the perpetrator ring us, asking who we are and why their partner was contacting us. So, yeah.
And of course,
like
we
say,
have confidentiality. We have a process for this, don't we? So we never, ever say who we are when we answer the phone, ever.
That's it. And obviously, we never disclose any information about anyone who has contacted us. It's all completely confidential. And then moving on to almost exploiting things that we've got, so they can cause damage to our property. So you might not necessarily live with your partner, so they might come damage your property. You then might get into trouble with the landlord, or they might smash your TV, and then you've got that isolation element and make it really hard for you in that way. They might steal money, as in cash. They might take over your property. So you might be paying the rent for that property or the mortgage on that property, but they might move themselves in and just take over. They then might refuse to contribute to any sort of household bills, anything like that. They can insist that everything is done in joint names. So joint bank accounts, joint mortgage, joint loans. But the only thing we need to remember is that if you do get involved in a joint mortgage or a joint loan, you are not responsible for half of that debt. You're responsible for the entirety of that debt. And I know this is something that I've had experience of, where somebody sold their house. It was in negative equity. They parted company because she was being abused by him. She left with her son. The mortgage company got in touch with her because of the negative equity. She would then agree to pay so much a month. He made himself unavailable. Never answered calls, never answered letters from the mortgage company. So she was left with this debt, this negative equity, and she had to pay that off because he basically would refuse to engage with the mortgage company. So, it's awful. And like I say, we've talked about the long-term impact and the things that can happen. And like we discussed before, build up debt in your name, sometimes without your knowledge.
I've also had some instances with clients that we've worked with where, rather than limiting the amount of money, the perpetrator has given the client all of the money.
Right.
So said, right, this is my wages, that's your wages, you sort out the mortgage, the bills, this, that, and given the responsibility completely over to her.
Yeah.
And the minute something goes wrong with that, which it inevitably will if someone has sole responsibility of it, that's when the abuse starts.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Because they've made a mistake
it's
and
your
something's
fault.
gone wrong.
You wanted money, I've given you it all, now look what you've done, type thing.
Yeah. We've got a bit of a checklist. So if you're out there thinking, oh, I'm not sure, am I experiencing some economic abuse? We've got a list of questions. So if you can answer yes to one or more of the following questions, you may be experiencing economic abuse. So has your current or former partner ever stopped you from having the money you needed to buy food, clothes or other essentials, or to pay the bills?
Now, to be clear with this, so that question, this is about him stopping you from having the money. This isn't about, as a partnership, you don't have have money.
Actually have the physical money.
I think all of us would say, actually, at points in our lives, we've been absolutely skint and we haven't been able to afford to buy what we need to buy.
Certain foods,
that's life,
perhaps to buy clothes that you need at that moment.
But we're saying here, the money's available,
yes,
but he's stopping you from having it.
Dictated how you must spend money. So this is, has your current or former partner ever done any of these things? Insisted you give them receipts or change from any purchases. Hidden money so you couldn't find it or have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
Kept important financial information from you. So that could be information about the benefits that you're receiving. That could be information about your mortgage or any loans you've got. Anything along those sort of lines. Made you ask for money when you needed it. Stopped you from having a job or going to work, or made it difficult for you to do so. Forced you to get a credit card or loan. Made you buy something on credit when you didn't want to. Taken out a credit card or loan in your name. Bought something on your credit card without your knowledge or consent. Again, we're going back to the wonderful internet and how easy it is to purchase things online these days.
Yep.
Where before, many years ago, you used to have to sign something, didn't you, every time you bought something in a shop. So it was harder to commit fraud. Now the internet makes it very, very easy because they just need the card details. Has your current or former partner ever made you buy things for them or pay their bills when you didn't want to?
And we see this sometimes, but don't we, when couples don't live together?
Yes.
And maybe we've talked about the kind of warning signs of an abusive relationship, of a potential abusive relationship. And we do see a lot of the time when the perpetrator will say to the victim or the person in the new relationship, oh, I haven't got enough money to pay my rent.
Yeah.
Can you lend us a couple of hundred? Or I haven't got enough money for petrol to work, so on and so on and so on.
That's it.
And because you're in this new relationship, because you feel that you're in this kind of loved up period, the victim will say, oh yeah, of course you can have this, of course you can have that.
You have that element of trust and belief, and then you never see that money again.
No.
And actually, they've got plenty of money.
Yeah.
They're just
and
choosing
it's
not to
another
use
way
it.
of control, isn't it?
Yeah.
By taking someone's money.
That's it. So has your current or former partner spent their money however they wanted, while your money was used for essentials?
Oh, we've had this so much.
Oh, this is so common.
We've had perpetrators who, drive around in BMW convertibles.
That's it. Or are wearing designer clothing.
Yeah, and they literally will not give their money to their partner to buy food, clothes, pay bills or whatever. It's very much about their image. Look at all the money that I've got and I'm going to show off what I've got, but actually when it comes to my family or the victim in this abusive situation, I'm not giving her anything.
Yeah, exactly. Stolen things from you, put bills in your name so you had to pay them, built up debt in your name, forced you to give them savings or wages, stopped you from having or accessing a bank account, made you sign papers without telling you what they were for, and then, as we've mentioned before, broken or destroyed your possessions. It's quite a long list of things that could possibly indicate economic abuse. But as we've discussed before, this is very unusual for it to happen in its own right, on its own. Normally it comes alongside other types of abuse.
I mean, if you look at broken or destroyed your possessions, so yes, that's economic abuse because your possessions might be worth something, but also that is physical abuse, isn't it? If they're breaking things around the house and destroying things.
Yeah, and it's that threats and intimidation that comes with that.
Yeah, definitely. If anything we're talking about has triggered you or you would like support, please do call us on 01733 894 964, or you can visit our website at peterboroughwomensaid.co.uk. So we have a question of the week, and it is, what is the one thing you think everyone should know about domestic abuse? You can call us on 01733 602 1333. You can text us on 074 119 1062, or comment live on our Facebook, X, Twitch, or YouTube. So there's one thing. Have we got enough time to do this? Because I find this, yes, we have. This is really interesting. We're going to talk more in detail about economic abuse, but we're going to talk about coerced debt. What does that mean, Sue?
So, coerced debt is when a perpetrator, current partner or ex-partner, forces you to take on debt when you do not want to. So this is things like taking loans out when you don't want to take a loan out, having a credit card when you don't want a credit card. So, and to coerce you into the debt, the abuser may have forced you, threatened you, made you feel too scared to say no. They may have given you wrong information. So they may have just blatantly lied to you about what you're signing, blatantly lied to you about the amount of debt. So they may have just told you, oh, well, you know, it's only for £500, where actually it's for £5,000. Taken on debt in your name without even discussing it with you, without even telling you what it is or what you're signing. Like we mentioned before, if, for example, you struggle to read English and your partner just says to you, I'll just sign here. It's fine. It's nothing. Just sign this bit of paper. You don't need to worry about it. It's just something that we need to do. And before you know it, you've signed up to a £5,000 loan.
Now, coerced debt is a criminal offence, isn't it?
Yes.
So it comes under the offence of coercive and controlling behaviour. So people can actually be arrested, prosecuted and put in prison for coerced debt.
Yeah.
So that's really important that people are aware of that. This isn't something that perpetrators can just get away with. If they've forced you or threatened you and you're scared that you've entered into an agreement or whatever, that in itself is a criminal offence.
That's it. And like we said, this is extremely common. It happens really, really regularly, and it's something that we see an awful lot. And there is support out there, specialist support around the financial services that can advise you of your options and what's available to you. So like we discussed before, this might be taking out a credit card or loan, making you use credit to buy something, taking out a loan, mortgage or credit card in your name, using this and other sources such as your overdraft. Not everyone gets a free overdraft. If you have to pay for your overdraft, that can also come under economic abuse. Putting bills in your name, such things like car finance, mobile phone contracts, or online shops, and those sort of accounts that you can get now. And then forcing you into a position where you fall behind on repayments, or need to use credit to pay for essentials. They might steal from you, take your wages, and make you buy things for them. And that it's a really, really difficult area, and a massive area.
Yeah. And there's some more that we're running out of time, but there was some more stuff that we wanted to talk about facts and fiction around debt, didn't we? And I've just read one here which I think is really interesting, and I'll leave everyone with this and we might carry it on for our next show. If I am married, I am responsible for my spouse's debt. That is not true. You do not take on someone's debt when you marry or enter into a relationship with them, as long as the debt is in their name only.
Yeah, and again, that's a really common threat.
Yeah, that people think, oh, I'm going to take on his debt because I've married him, but actually if it's his debt, it's got nothing to do with you.
Absolutely.
So I think there is more that can be done, we can talk about. Thank you for listening. We are back on the 21st of July.